arts and crafts? Yes, please. Let's get artsy.
Hello friends, my name is Miss Sabrina and I'm the camp director for 4-H Camp Wabasso, which is a residential youth camp in upstate New York. Today we're going to learn how to tie-dye with common household items like red cabbage, yellow onions, blueberries, and blackberries. Let's go! The materials that you will need for this activity are shown on the screen. Make sure to do this activity with a trusted adult. Alright friends, so the first step of our tie-dye with a twist is tying our shirts. So I have 3 shirts here and I'm going to show you 3 different ways to tie them. The first way I'm going to show you to tie them is the spiral pattern. To do the spiral pattern, you're going to take your thumb and your first 2 fingers and you will pinch somewhere on your shirt, and that's going to be the center of the spiral. Then you are going to start twisting it around until it's a tight spiral all the way around. Once it's wrapped nicely around itself, you're going to take a couple rubber bands and you will tie them twice around the shirt. So that's our first rubber band. And then you're going to add another one so it cuts the first one right in half, like a pizza. You can add as many or as few rubber bands as you would like. I'm going to add 2 more. And that's your spiral pattern. Where you added the rubber bands is going to be white, and each of these sections that do not have rubber bands will be the color that we dye it. Now we're going to grab our second shirt, and for this one we are going to do it the accordion or fan style. So you're going to start in the bottom corner and you are going to fold it over, and then you're going to fold it over on itself again, just like an accordion or a fan. And we're going to do this all the way across the shirt. Once you have it folded all the way across, the last step for this is to add the rubber bands. You can add as many rubber bands or as few rubber bands as you would like. Alright, and that's the accordion or fan style. For the last shirt, I'm going to show you how to make a bullseye pattern. For this, I'm going to use a rock for the first part of the circle. Alright? So I'm going to put it underneath, and I'm going to choose a spot on my shirt where I want the center circle to be. And then I'm going to grab a rubber band and wrap it around a couple times. Then I will grab a couple more rubber bands, and I will wrap it around a couple more times. Alright friends, now that our shirts are ready, we're going to put them in a salt bath to prepare them to soak up the dye. I have 4 cups of salt here that I'm going to add to a pot of water that I already have on the stove. You want to make sure that pot of water has enough water in it so that it will cover all 3 shirts that we're going to drop in. Now we're going to let that come up to a boil, and we're going to let it boil for about half an hour. While we wait, we're going to prep the dye bath. Alright friends, now is the fun part. With a trusted adult, we're going to start preparing the dye baths. The first dye bath that we're going to prepare is the red cabbage dye bath. So with a trusted adult, you will get 1 to 2 full heads of red cabbage, and you're going to cut it into small pieces. First, you will cut it in half, which I've already done. Then you will cut it in half again, and then you will cut it into strips. And once they're cut into strips, you'll turn it and do that again so it's in nice small pieces. Once your cabbage is cut up, you're going to take it and you're going to put it in another pot of water that you have on the stove. Make sure to do this step with a trusted adult. You want to bring that pot of water and cabbage to a boil and let it boil for about half an hour. While we wait for it to boil, we're going to prep the second dye bath, which is an onion and turmeric dye bath. This dye will be a yellow to orange color. So again, with a trusted adult, you're going to want to grab a couple onions, and you are going to cut both ends off, and then you are going to peel the outer layer of the onions and put that in a dish to the side. That's the part of the onion that we're going to use to make the dye bath. With with your onion skins and a tablespoon of turmeric, you're going to dump those into a third pot of water. Again, you want that to boil for about 20 to 30 minutes. The last dye bath we're going to create is with berries. We're going to take these berries whole and dump them into our last pot of water. For that dye bath, we only need to boil it for about 10 to 15 minutes. However, I'm going to leave it on the entire time that the others are boiling to give it a darker color. Alright friends, now that we have all of the pieces out of our dye baths, we're on one of the last steps. Now, with a trusted adult, you will use some tongs to pull out your shirts that have been soaking in the salt water bath. We have 3 shirts in here, just like we have 3 dye baths. So I'm going to put 1 shirt in each of our dye baths, very carefully. And then I'm going to bring the dye bath back to a simmer. So that's a low boil. And we're going to let them simmer for approximately half an hour or 30 minutes. All right, friends, now that it's been approximately half an hour, we're going to take our shirts out of the dye bath. Make sure to do this step with a trusted adult. We are now going to let these cool for a little bit before we touch them. All right, friends, we are at the last step. I have one of the tie-dye shirts, and it is ready to be rinsed out. Make sure that you wait for this step until it's cool enough to touch, and make sure you do this with a trusted adult. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to rinse the dye completely out with the rubber band still on, and then I'm going to take the rubber bands off and rinse it out again. We want to make sure it's rinsed until all of the dye is out and the water runs clear. Now this is the final product of our onion and turmeric dye bath. So now I'm going to do the same thing for the other 2. All right, friends, now that we've finished our dyeing project, I want to show you what our final product is. Down here, we have the one that was made from blueberries and blackberries with the bullseye pattern. In the middle, we have the one that was made from yellow onions and turmeric with the spiral pattern. And on this end, we have the shirt that was dyed with red cabbage in the accordion or fan style pattern. As you can tell from looking at these, we are learning as we go. So we may have wanted to leave the berry and the red cabbage ones in the dye bath a little bit longer. So maybe when you try it at home, you want to leave it in longer than half an hour. Thank you, and I hope you have fun.